My name is Nora Bennett, and I should have known better than to book that flight. 10 hours in the air, 2 layovers, a swollen ankle, 3 Christmas movies playing silently on the seat screen while I tried not to cry from exhaustion. Because when your mother calls and says, "Please come home," it's not the same without you. Some part of you still believes it, even after everything. Even after years of being the extra chair at the table. Even after becoming the afterthought sibling. I hadn't been home in almost 3 years. Work kept me busy, or at least that's what I told people. The truth, distance was easier than disappointment. But this year, Mom's voice sounded softer. Older. "Nora," she said on the phone weeks earlier, "I miss my daughter. Not we need help. Not your brother can't manage. Not you owe us. Just I miss you." So I'd booked the flight. The house looked smaller than I remembered. Same peeling white paint. Same crooked mailbox. Same front porch light that flickered like it was unsure whether to commit. I stood there with my suitcase, heart pounding. This is it, I told myself. Fresh start. I rang the doorbell. Footsteps. The door opened. Mom stood there. She didn't smile. She didn't hug me. She didn't even say hello. She stepped aside and said flatly, "You'll babysit your brother's kids. We're leaving for a family trip tomorrow morning." I blinked. What? She was already walking toward the kitchen. "Your brother and his wife need a break. We booked a cabin. You're here anyway." I stood frozen in the doorway. 10 hours. For this, Jason's voice echoed from the living room. "Well, look who finally showed up." My older brother walked in holding a juice box and wearing that smirk I'd known since childhood. The one that said he'd already won something I didn't know we were competing for. Behind him were his 2 kids, Liam and Sophie, sticky-faced, loud, already screaming over a tablet. Jason laughed. "Don't wipe your snot on her, kids. She's city fragile." They all laughed. Mom included. Something inside me didn't crack. It went quiet. That dangerous kind of quiet. "Wait," I said carefully. "You invited me home to babysit." Mom sighed like I was being dramatic. "Oh, don't start. It's just 3 days. 3 days. You work remotely anyway. It's not like you have anything urgent." Jason leaned against the wall. "You don't have your own family. Might as well practice." There it was. The implication. No husband. No kids. No real life. So I must be available. I felt heat rising in my chest. "I thought this was Christmas together," I said. Mom waved her hand dismissively. "We'll celebrate when we get back. You're leaving tomorrow? 6 a.m. I stared at her. "So I flew across the country to be childcare." Jason grinned. "Unpaid childcare. Let's not get fancy." Laughter again. And suddenly I was 12 years old. Standing in the kitchen while Jason opened bigger presents. While Mom said he needs more support. While Dad, before he passed, said, "You're the strong one, Nora. You understand." I always understood. That was the problem. I walked into the living room slowly, suitcase still in hand. No one helped me. No one asked about my flight. No one asked if I was tired. Sophie tugged my coat. "Are you sleeping in my room?" Jason laughed. "She'll sleep wherever we tell her." Mom shouted from the kitchen. "Nora, after dinner, can you start packing snacks for the kids? And make sure their laundry's done before we leave." I stood there, processing. 10 hours. Hundreds of dollars. Weeks of rearranged work meetings. For this. And here's the thing. They weren't even pretending anymore. I wasn't a guest. I wasn't a daughter coming home. I was coverage. Convenient. Disposable. Predictable. Jason walked closer and lowered his voice. Don't make this weird. Just help out. You're good at that. Good at that. Translation. Good at absorbing. Good at sacrificing. Good at not demanding. I looked at him. Really looked at him. And for the first time, he didn't look powerful. He looked entitled. There's a difference. That night, I lay in my childhood bedroom. The same faded wallpaper. The same crack in the ceiling shaped like a lightning bolt. Except now I saw it clearly. This wasn't accidental. Mom didn't forget to mention the trip. She planned it. She needed someone reliable. And reliable meant me. My phone buzzed. A message from my coworker Emma. How's the holiday reunion? I typed. Deleted. Typed again. Unexpected. Then I stopped. Because suddenly, an idea began forming. They thought I'd just fold. They thought I'd unpack. They thought I'd wake up at 5:30 a.m. and wave them off with a smile. They thought I'd understand. I've always understood. But understanding doesn't mean agreeing. And something about Jason's laugh. Something about Mom not hugging me. Something about that door opening without warmth. It shifted something permanent inside me. Tomorrow at 6 a.m., they were leaving. And they were very confident I'd still be here when they returned. They were wrong. I lay there staring at the ceiling, listening to the house breathe the way it always had. The soft ticking of the heater, the pipes knocking gently, the refrigerator humming like a distant engine. This house raised me. This house minimized me. Both things can be true. At 4:58 a.m., my alarm vibrated softly. I had set it without telling anyone. Down the hall, I heard Mom moving. Cabinet doors opening. The low murmur of her voice as she reminded Jason not to forget the travel mugs. No one knocked on my door. No one checked if I was awake. Because they assumed. They assumed I'd be here. Reliable Nora. I sat up slowly and opened my laptop. The return flight confirmation glowed on the screen. Departure, 8:45 a.m. 2 hours after they planned to leave. I booked it at 2:17 a.m. My hands hadn't even shaken. It wasn't revenge. It was correction. 5:40 a.m. The house lights flicked on. Footsteps, zippers, kids whining. Where's Aunt Nora? Jason's wife, Melissa, asked lazily. She'll handle it, Mom replied. Handle it. I walked out into the hallway fully dressed, suitcase packed. Mom looked up from the kitchen island. Oh good, you're up. The kids are still sleeping. They might wake up cranky. Sophie had sugar last night. I didn't respond. Jason glanced at my suitcase. Why are you packed? I have a flight, I said calmly. Mom blinked. What? My return flight, 8:45. Silence spread like spilled ink. Jason laughed. Nice joke. It's not a joke. Melissa straightened. You can't be serious. I flew 10 hours because you said you missed me, I told Mom evenly. You didn't mention childcare. Mom's face tightened. Don't be dramatic. It's 3 days. It's unpaid labor, without consent. Jason rolled his eyes. Oh my God, it's family. No, I said. It's assumption. The kids shuffled into the hallway, half awake. Why is everyone yelling? Liam mumbled. Mom lowered her voice. Nora, don't do this in front of the children. You did it in front of them last night, I replied quietly. Jason's smile faded. You're really going to bail? I didn't agree. Melissa crossed her arms. We already paid for the cabin, and I already paid for a 10-hour flight. Mom's tone shifted, the guilt card loading. After everything we've done for you. There it was. The invisible invoice. I met her eyes. What exactly have you done that requires repayment? That question landed harder than I expected. Dad used to use that line. After he paid for my textbooks. After he drove me to college interviews. But he never used it to control me. Mom did. She stepped closer. You don't have children. You don't understand how hard this is. And you don't understand how it feels to be invited home as backup staff. Jason scoffed. You always twist things. No, I said softly. I just stopped absorbing them. The real reason? Melissa suddenly spoke, voice sharper than before. We can't cancel. Jason needs this break. I looked at her. From what? She opened her mouth. Closed it. Jason cut in. From responsibility. And who covers your responsibility? I asked. Silence. Even the kids sensed something. Mom tried again. If you leave, you're proving you only care about yourself. No, I said gently. I'm proving I don't only care about everyone else. That was the difference. For years, I'd been the flexible one. The independent one. The she'll manage one. And somehow that translated into, she'll sacrifice. The hidden truth. Sophie tugged at my sleeve. Are you leaving because Daddy yells? The room froze. Jason's face changed instantly. That's not appropriate, he snapped. I knelt down slowly. What do you mean? I asked softly. Sophie shrugged. He yells at Mommy when the doors are closed. Melissa went pale. Enough, Jason said sharply. Mom stepped in. This is ridiculous. Kids exaggerate. But Sophie wasn't exaggerating. She wasn't dramatic. She was confused. And confusion in a child usually means tension at home. Jason grabbed his car keys. This is insane. We're going to miss our departure window. Melissa looked at him, then at me, then at the kids. For a split second, something flickered in her eyes. Doubt. Maybe this trip wasn't just rest. Maybe it was escape. And maybe I wasn't refusing babysitting. Maybe I was refusing to enable something. The line. Mom's voice cracked. If you walk out that door, don't expect us to beg you again. I picked up my suitcase. I never wanted to be begged, I said quietly. I wanted to be welcomed. That hurt her. I could see it. Because it was true. She hadn't opened the door like I was her daughter. She opened it like I was a solution. Jason muttered something under his breath. Selfish. Funny how the word always appears when control disappears. I walked toward the door. The same door I walked through 12 hours earlier with hope. I paused. Turned back. Next time you invite me home, I said calmly, be honest about why. Mom didn't respond. Jason didn't look at me. Melissa did. And there was something in her expression that felt like apology. The airport. Airports have a way of clarifying things. Maybe it's the movement. Maybe it's the fact that everyone there is choosing a direction. I sat by the window at Gate 14, watching planes lift into gray winter sky. My phone buzzed. Mom. I let it ring. Then a text. The kids are crying. They were excited you'd stay. I typed back. They were excited because no one explained the truth. 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. No reply. Another message came, but not from Mom. From Melissa. I'm sorry, he didn't tell me he hadn't asked you directly. I thought you agreed. There it was. Jason assumed. Mom assumed. Melissa assumed. No one confirmed. Because I was predictable. I typed back. Take care of yourself. She didn't respond. Mid-flight realization. Halfway through the flight, somewhere over clouds that looked like torn cotton, I realized something uncomfortable. I wasn't angry. I was done. Anger means you're still fighting for something. Done means you've accepted what it is. For years, I thought if I just explained better, if I just tried harder, if I just visited more, they would treat me like equal family. But equality doesn't come from endurance. It comes from boundaries. And boundaries aren't punishments. They're filters. The fallout. When I landed, my phone exploded. Jason. You embarrassed Mom. Kids asked where you went. You made this worse. Mom, I don't recognize you anymore. I stared at that one. Maybe that was the point. Maybe the version she recognized was the one who never pushed back. Emma texted again. How bad was it? I typed. I finally stopped volunteering for emotional labor. She responded with a single word. Proud. And I didn't realize how much I needed that until I read it. The unexpected twist. 2 days later, I got another message. Not from Mom. Not from Jason. From Melissa. He canceled the cabin after you left. That surprised me. Why? I asked. Because Sophie wouldn't stop asking why Aunt Nora didn't want to stay. I exhaled slowly. Children notice. They may not understand dynamics, but they feel imbalance. Melissa added, We're talking about counseling. That stopped me. Maybe my leaving didn't just protect me. Maybe it exposed something. Not loudly. Not dramatically. But clearly. The final call. On Christmas morning, my phone rang again. Mom. I answered this time. Her voice was softer than before. We didn't go, she said quietly. I know. I didn't realize you felt used. I closed my eyes. I felt that way for a long time. Silence. Then, I don't know how to fix this. That was the first honest sentence she'd spoken. You start by asking, I said, not assigning. Another pause. I did miss you, she whispered. I know, I replied. And for the first time, it felt almost true. New Year's came quietly. No fireworks. No countdown. Just the soft hum of my apartment heater and the city skyline blinking outside my window. I didn't go home again. And for the first time in my life, no one pressured me to. That silence wasn't peace. It was recalibration. The call I didn't expect. Mid-January, my phone rang while I was in the middle of a meeting. Jason. I stared at the screen. He never calls unless he needs something. I let it go to voicemail. Then it rang again. And again. I stepped out of the conference room and answered. What? No greeting. No softness. Straight to the point. He exhaled sharply. Mom fell. My stomach dropped. Is she okay? She slipped on the porch steps. Sprained ankle, maybe a fracture. We're at the hospital. For a split second, guilt tried to crawl back in. See, if you'd stayed. I crushed it. Accidents happen whether I'm present or not. Is she stable? I asked calmly. Yes. Could. Silence. He was waiting for it. For the offer. For the reflex. I can't come right now, I said. His breath sharpened. Of course you can't. I didn't argue. Because here's the thing. Boundaries feel cruel to people who benefited from your lack of them. The hospital room. 2 days later, I flew in. Not because they demanded it. Because I chose it. There's a difference. The hospital room smelled like disinfectant and stale coffee. Mom looked smaller in the bed. Fragile. Human. She smiled faintly when she saw me. You came. I wanted to. That sentence mattered. Jason was pacing. Melissa sat quietly in the corner. The kids were with a neighbor. Doctor says she'll need physical therapy, Jason muttered. Mom waved him off. I'm fine. She wasn't. But this wasn't about her ankle. It was about something else. After Jason stepped out to take a call, Mom looked at me. I thought you wouldn't come. I thought you'd assign me a shift. That earned the smallest, saddest laugh. I deserved that. Progress. The truth between us. That night, I stayed at a hotel. Not the house. Not my childhood bedroom. Neutral space. The next afternoon, Mom asked if I'd drive her home from the hospital. Just us. No Jason. No Melissa. No audience. In the car, winter sunlight flickered across the dashboard. I've been thinking, she said quietly. That's usually when trouble starts, I replied lightly. She didn't smile. I treated you like the dependable one because you were strong. I was quiet, I corrected. That too. Silence filled the car. I leaned on you differently than Jason, she admitted. You leaned on me because I didn't resist. That landed. I didn't realize I was pushing you away, she whispered. You weren't pushing, I said. You were pulling. She looked confused. You pulled responsibility toward me. You pulled emotional weight toward me. You pulled expectations toward me. And Jason? You protected him from all of that. She didn't argue. Because it was true. The house feels different. Walking back into the house felt strange. Like stepping into a version of myself I'd outgrown. Jason was in the kitchen. You staying? He asked. 2 nights. He nodded once. No jokes. No smirk. Just tension. Later that evening, the kids came running. Aunt Nora. They hugged me without sarcasm. Without commentary. Kids don't perform politics. They just attach where it feels safe. Sophie looked up at me. Are you leaving again? Yes, I said gently. But not because of you. She nodded like that made sense. Kids understand more than adults do. The real confrontation. It didn't happen dramatically. No screaming. No slammed doors. It happened over coffee the next morning. Just me and Jason at the kitchen table. Mom was resting. Melissa took the kids to school. Jason stirred his mug without drinking. You made me look bad, he said finally. No, I replied calmly. I made you uncomfortable. He scoffed. You could have just helped. You could have just asked. Silence. You don't know how hard it is, he muttered. Then why do you act like I don't know how hard it is to always be the backup plan? That shut him up. I leaned back. You know what hurt the most? He didn't answer. You laughed. His jaw tightened. It was a joke. No, I said evenly. It was a signal. What signal? That I wasn't family. I was utility. That word hung heavy. Utility. He looked down at the table. I didn't mean it like that. But that's how it landed. For once, he didn't deflect. Didn't mock. Didn't escalate. He just sat with it. Melissa speaks. That afternoon, Melissa knocked on the guest room door. Can we talk? We sat on the edge of the bed. I'm in therapy, she said quietly. That surprised me. For what? For learning how to ask for help before I collapse. I nodded slowly. I didn't know Jason never confirmed with you, she continued. I thought you agreed. He never asked. She sighed. He assumes people will absorb things. I almost laughed. He learned that somewhere. We both knew where. I'm trying to change the pattern, she said softly. For the kids. That mattered. Because cycles only break when someone decides they're done repeating them. The moment I didn't expect. On my last night, Mom called me into the living room. She handed me something. An old photo album. Inside were pictures I barely remembered. Me holding Jason's hand when he was little. Me helping him with homework. Me at his soccer games. You were always there, she whispered. Yes, I said gently. I was. I think I mistook your presence for permission. That sentence stunned me. Because it was accurate. Presence doesn't equal consent. Silence doesn't equal agreement. Strength doesn't equal availability. She reached for my hand. I don't want to lose you. You won't, I said softly. But you don't get unlimited access to me anymore. She nodded slowly. I'm learning. The airport again. Airports have become symbolic for me. Not escape. Choice. Jason drove me this time. Halfway there, he said quietly. I'm sorry. I didn't look at him. For what? For laughing. Simple. Direct. No defense. No sarcasm. Just ownership. That mattered more than a speech ever could. I don't hate you, I said. I know. I just won't carry you. He nodded once. Fair. When he dropped me off, he surprised me. Come home next year, he said. As a guest. I studied his face. He wasn't joking. Ask me, I replied. He gave the faintest smile. Okay. The final shift. Back in my apartment, I unpacked slowly. No heaviness. No resentment. Just awareness. Family doesn't change overnight. But patterns shift when someone refuses to perform their role. I'm not the backup plan anymore. I'm not the dependable emotional sponge. I'm not the default babysitter. I'm a daughter, a sister, an aunt. By choice, not obligation. And the most powerful part. When Mom called a week later and said, would you be open to visiting in March? I didn't feel trapped. I felt asked. And that made all the difference. Fade out on a quiet city skyline, not lonely, not triumphant, just steady. Because sometimes growth isn't explosive. Sometimes it's simply the moment you realize you can love them without shrinking for them. I didn't cry that night. I thought I would. I thought I'd lock myself in my old bedroom, the one still painted a faded lavender from when I was 16, and let the humiliation finally spill out. But instead, I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the walls. Nothing had changed in this room. The same bookshelf. The same cracked photo frame. The same trophy from senior year debate club. Except now I understood something I hadn't back then. This room had never been a sanctuary. It had been storage. A place where they kept me until I was useful again. The house was quiet downstairs. Too quiet. I knew they were packing. I heard the sound of zippers closing, wheels rolling across tile, laughter drifting faintly through the vents. They weren't even whispering. They weren't ashamed. That was the worst part. They genuinely believed this was normal. My phone buzzed. A message from Alina. Did you land safely? Alina has been my best friend since college. She's the only person who knows how things are in my family. I almost lied. Almost. Instead, I typed, "They flew me in to babysit. They're going on vacation tomorrow." There was a pause. Then, "Are you serious?" I sent a photo of the empty hallway outside my room, the packed suitcases. Her reply came instantly. "Come stay with me. I mean it." I stared at the message for a long time. I was 32 years old, and still asking permission to exist in my own family. A knock at the door startled me. "Come in," I said. It wasn't Mom. It was my father. He stepped inside quietly, shutting the door behind him. Dad has always been the softer one, the quieter one, the man who avoids conflict like it's contagious. He leaned against the dresser. "You upset your mother." I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because I had expected those exact words. "I flew 10 hours," I said calmly. She didn't even say hello. "She's stressed," he replied. "She's going on vacation." Silence. He rubbed the back of his neck. "Your brother's kids are a handful. They trust you. They don't even know me. They will. That's not the point." He sighed. "You don't understand what it's like being a parent." I stood up slowly. "And you don't understand what it's like being treated like unpaid staff." That hit. I saw it in his eyes. But he didn't defend me. He never does. Later that night, my brother knocked without waiting for an answer. He walked in holding a beer. "You're being dramatic," he said. "I'm being honest. You don't have kids. You don't have responsibilities. I have a job. A remote job," he smirked. "You can work anywhere. That doesn't mean I'm free childcare." He took a sip, then shrugged. "Mom misses you." "No," I said quietly. "Mom misses control." His jaw tightened. "Wow, therapy's really changed you." "Yes," I replied. "It has." He left after that. No apology. Just a door shutting a little too hard. The next morning, I woke to chaos. Kids screaming. Suitcases rolling. My mother barking instructions. I came downstairs dressed and ready. Mom looked me up and down. "Oh good, you're up. There's a schedule on the fridge." "A schedule?" I asked. "For the kids, meals, activities, bedtime routines." She handed me a list. 5 pages. 5. I looked at her. "You didn't even ask." "We assumed," she said lightly. "Your family." Family. That word felt heavier than the suitcase by the door. My brother came down the stairs with sunglasses on. "Don't burn the house down," he joked. The kids laughed. Mom laughed. Dad avoided eye contact. And something inside me snapped. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just quietly. Like a thread finally breaking. "I'm not doing this," I said. Mom blinked. "Excuse me?" "I'm not staying." "You already agreed." "I never agreed." "You flew here." "Yes," I said, "because you said you missed me." Her face hardened. "So you're abandoning your family." I felt strangely calm. "No," I replied. "I'm refusing to be used." The room went silent. Even the kids stopped talking. "You're selfish," my brother said flatly. I turned to him. "You've called me that since I was 12. It doesn't scare me anymore." Mom's voice rose. "We paid for your flight. I'll reimburse you." "You wouldn't dare walk out." I looked at the front door, then back at her. "Watch me." I went upstairs, packed my bag, booked a hotel. And before I left, I did something I had never done before. I wrote a note. Not an angry one. Not dramatic. Just honest. I love you, but I won't keep sacrificing myself to prove it. If you want a relationship with me, it has to be one where I'm respected, not scheduled. I left it on the kitchen counter, right next to the 5-page babysitting itinerary. Then I walked out. The cold air outside felt different, lighter. My phone rang before I even reached the driveway. Mom, I let it ring. Then my brother. I let it ring. Then Dad. That one hurt, but I let it ring too. Instead, I called Alina. Are you serious? She said when I told her. Yes. I am so proud of you. The words made my throat tighten. No one in my family had ever said that. At the hotel that night, I ordered room service. I sat by the window overlooking the city lights. And for the first time since landing, I allowed myself to feel it. Not guilt, not fear. Relief. Because I finally understood something. Love that requires silence isn't love. It's control. And I was done being quiet. But I didn't know yet that my mother wasn't going to let this go quietly. And the message she sent me the next morning would change everything. I woke up to 37 missed calls. 37. All from my mother, a few from my brother, one from my father, and a long text preview glowing on my screen. For a second, I considered turning the phone off, just disappearing. But I knew my mother. Silence would only escalate her. So I opened the message. Mom, I cannot believe what you've done. The kids were devastated. Your brother had to cancel reservations. Your father hasn't said a word since you left. After everything we've sacrificed for you, this is how you repay us. If you don't come back today, don't bother coming for Christmas again. I read it twice. Then a third time. Not because it hurt, but because it didn't. That was the strange part. The words felt predictable, like a script she'd been rehearsing for years. Sacrifice, killed, threat of exclusion. Her favorite trilogy. I sat up slowly in the hotel bed, sunlight slicing through the curtains. My heart wasn't racing. My hands weren't shaking. Instead, I felt something far more dangerous. Clarity. Another message buzzed in. This one from my brother. You embarrassed Mom. Dad's furious. The kids think you hate them. Congrats. I stared at the ceiling. There it was again. Responsibility for everyone's emotions. Handed to me like a bill I never agreed to pay. I typed one sentence back to my mother. If you want to talk, we can meet somewhere neutral. 3 dots appeared instantly. Then disappeared. Then appeared again. Finally, neutral, this is your home. I almost laughed. No, this was her house. There's a difference. An hour later, she agreed to meet at a cafe downtown. I don't know why she said yes. Maybe she believed she could intimidate me in public. Maybe she thought I'd fold. She doesn't realize something about me has shifted. Once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. She arrived 10 minutes late. Of course she did. Control starts with timing. She walked in wearing that tight smile she uses for church gatherings and neighborhood gossip. Look at you, she said, sitting down. Dramatic exit and now a hotel stay. I needed space. You needed attention. I let that slide. I came because you said you missed me. I do. But you didn't greet me. You're focusing on the wrong things. No, I said gently. I'm focusing on the truth. Her jaw tightened. You're 32, she continued. It's time you contributed to this family. I contribute, I replied, just not in ways you control. She leaned forward. You think you're better than us now? Because you moved away. Because you see a therapist? The word therapist sounded like an accusation. I think I'm healthier, I said calmly. Her eyes flashed. You used to be so easy. There it was. Not kinder, not happier, easier. I was compliant, I corrected. That's not the same as happy. You're rewriting history. No, I said softly. I'm remembering it accurately. She scoffed. Your brother has responsibilities, children, a mortgage. You have freedom. Why is it so hard to help? Because help requires consent. Her face hardened. So you'd rather sit in a hotel alone than support your own blood? Yes, I said. The honesty shocked even me. But it felt clean. True. She stared at me as if trying to recognize a stranger. Who are you? She whispered. I'm the version of me that stopped apologizing. Silence stretched between us. The cafe buzzed around us, cups clinking, espresso machines hissing, but our table felt like a battlefield frozen in time. Finally, she said the one thing I didn't expect. You've always been selfish. It wasn't shouted. It wasn't dramatic. It was tired, resigned, and somehow that hurt more. I swallowed. When I was 14 and stayed home from the school trip to watch Ryan because you needed a break, was that selfish? She didn't answer. When I gave him my savings so he wouldn't fail his first semester, still nothing. When I skipped my own graduation dinner because his babysitter canceled, her lips pressed into a thin line. That's what sisters do. No, I said quietly. That's what scapegoats do. The word hung there. Heavy. Accurate. Her expression shifted. For a moment, just a flicker, I saw something like doubt. But it vanished quickly. You're overreacting. Maybe, I said, but I'm not going back. Her eyes went cold. If you walk away now, don't expect things to be the same. I nodded slowly. That's the point. She stood abruptly. You'll regret this. Maybe, I replied, but at least it'll be my regret. She didn't hug me when she left. She didn't say goodbye. She just walked out of the cafe like I was a stranger she'd accidentally shared a table with. I sat there for a long time after she left. Not crying, not shaking, just processing. For years, I thought conflict meant chaos. Screaming. Doors slamming. But sometimes the loudest break is silent. Sometimes it's just the moment you choose yourself. My phone buzzed again. Dad. I hesitated before answering. Hello? His voice sounded older. Your mother is upset. I know. She feels abandoned. I felt used. He exhaled slowly. You've changed. Yes. Another long pause. I don't know how to fix this, he admitted. That was new. My father never admits confusion. You don't have to fix it, I said gently. You just have to see it. Silence. Then, I'll call you later. He hung up. Back at the hotel, I packed my suitcase. Not because I was going home, but because I was leaving the city entirely. Alina had insisted. Come here, she said over the phone. Start the holidays with someone who actually wants you. For the first time in my life, I chose the invitation that didn't require performance. I booked a flight. This time, not out of obligation, but out of freedom. As the plane lifted into the sky, I looked down at the city shrinking beneath me. Somewhere down there was my childhood house. My brother. My parents. The version of me who would have stayed. But she was getting smaller too. Fading. And for the first time, I didn't feel guilty. I felt powerful. I didn't know yet that my father would call again. that something unexpected would happen while I was gone, and that this holiday, the one meant to trap me, would end up changing the entire structure of our family forever. But for now, I leaned back in my seat, closed my eyes, and let the distance grow. I landed in a city 3 states away from home. No one was waiting. No one called. No one needed me. For the first time in weeks, maybe years, I breathed without apology. Recalibrating, Alina picked me up at the airport. "Welcome to freedom," she said with a grin, tossing me the keys to her apartment. It smelled like lavender and fresh coffee. Unlike home, no one had expectations here. No one judged how fast I unpacked or whether I answered a call immediately. I made myself a cup of tea and sat by the window, watching the cars slip past on the streets below. It hit me. The holiday I dreaded had turned into the most honest Christmas I'd ever had. No guilt, no manipulation, no schedules. Just me. The unexpected call. 3 days later, my phone buzzed. "Mom." I almost ignored it. Almost. Her voice was quieter this time. "Nora, the kids keep asking about you. Jason, he's overwhelmed. I didn't realize how much I leaned on you." I let the words sink. "I didn't realize either," I admitted softly. "But now I do. And I can't be the default fix for everyone's problems." She paused. "I'm trying to understand," she whispered. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't a hug. It wasn't a return to the way things were. But it was acknowledgement. And that mattered more than I expected. Jason and Melissa. Meanwhile, the fallout at home was real. Jason tried to keep up appearances, but he stumbled. The kids noticed. Sophie told her mother that Aunt Nora had been right about her father being too loud. Liam asked why I hadn't wanted to stay. Melissa reached out quietly, not to chastise, but to check in. "I've never seen him like this," she confessed. "He's realizing. I think we all are realizing how much we relied on you." I didn't respond immediately. There was no need to. The acknowledgement was enough. Rediscovering myself. Those days away, I reconnected with old friends, took long walks, and allowed myself to reflect without interference. I realized something vital. My value wasn't tied to how much I could manage or control for others. My worth wasn't measured by how much I sacrificed. I wasn't just a daughter, a sister, a stand-by babysitter. I was Nora, the woman who finally said no. And she was enough. Returning home on my terms. A month later, I returned. Not for a family trip, not for obligation. I came home for dinner. Mom had prepared a small meal, unsure of whether I'd come at all. I smiled gently. "Hi, Mom." She paused, then returned it. Jason tried his jokes. I let one slide. I laughed softly, on my terms. The kids ran to hug me. This time, I hugged them back fully, without resentment or expectation. A new dynamic. That night, as I prepared for bed in my childhood room, Mom knocked. "I've been thinking," she began, "about how I treated you. I want things to be different." "Then start by asking," I replied, not assuming. She nodded. And in that moment, I realized boundaries weren't barriers to love. They were invitations to honesty. The real gift. The holiday that had begun with manipulation and control ended with clarity and choice. I hadn't lost anything. I'd gained something I hadn't known I was missing, myself. As I drifted to sleep that night, I understood finally, sometimes love isn't about giving in. Sometimes love is saying no. And sometimes saying no is the first step toward being truly seen. If you enjoyed this story and want to see more real-life family dramas, emotional journeys, and jaw-dropping twists just like this, Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. By subscribing, you'll join our amazing community, be the first to catch all new stories, and never miss a moment of the drama, the suspense, and the heartfelt moments that we bring to you every week. So go ahead, smash that subscribe button now and become a part of our family. Because trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next.